Emily's eyelids felt heavy. The clock on the dashboard read 2:13 a.m., another late-night shift at the diner. She just wanted to get home. The highway stretched out before her, dark and desolate. It was a route she rarely took, but her GPS insisted it was faster. Emily sighed, her stomach grumbling. The highway lights flickered above, casting long, eerie shadows. Emily turned up the radio, hoping to find some semblance of life in the static. Nothing but the howling wind answered. She shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around her. A sign flashed by, barely visible in the dim light. Haunted highway. Next exit. Emily scoffed. Stupid local legends. The engine sputtered. Emily's heart jumped into her throat. Not now, she thought. Not out here. The engine coughed its last breath and the car rolled to a stop. Silence descended, heavy and absolute. The GPS blinked innocently on the dashboard, mocking her predicament. Emily swatted at it angrily. Why had she trusted this stupid machine? She should have stuck to the main roads. Now, she was paying the price, lost and vulnerable. The silence outside was broken only by the rustling wind. It seemed to whisper her name, taunting her. Emily jumped at the sound of a twig snapping. She turned her head sharply, scanning the darkness beyond her headlights. Nothing. Just the endless stretch of empty road. But the feeling of being watched lingered. A flicker of movement in the distance caught her eye. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and slender. Emily held her breath. Her heart pounded in her chest. It wasn't human. The woman glided towards the car with an eerie grace. Each step seemed to defy gravity. Emily fumbled with the door handle, desperate to escape, but the lock wouldn't budge. It was as if the car itself was holding her captive. The woman reached the driver's side window. Her breath fogged up the glass, carrying with it the stench of decay. Emily recoiled, pressing herself against the opposite door. The woman's eyes, black and empty, stared into Emily's soul. Her grin widened, if that were possible. It was a smile that spoke of unimaginable horrors, horrors that lurked beneath the surface of this desolate highway. "You shouldn't be here," the woman rasped. Her voice was like the scraping of tombstones. "Help me," Emily stammered, her voice a mere whisper. But the woman only continued to grin, her eyes burning into Emily's. Emily knew in that moment that no one could hear her cries. Not out here, not on this cursed stretch of asphalt. She was alone. Emily squeezed her eyes shut, her heart pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird. The woman's words echoed in her mind. "You shouldn't be here." A simple statement but laced with a chilling finality. It was a warning, and a promise. Emily knew she had stumbled upon something ancient and evil, something that had claimed this highway as its own. The pressure of the woman's hand intensified. Emily could feel the coldness seeping through the glass, penetrating her very being. She tried to scream again, but no sound escaped her lips. Emily was being consumed. Terror, raw and consuming, surged through Emily's veins. She thrashed against her seatbelt, a desperate attempt to break free from the invisible force that bound her. But it was no use. She was helpless, a puppet dancing on the strings of fear. The woman's touch sent a shockwave through Emily's body. It was a jolt of pure terror, a feeling of wrongness so profound it defied description. Emily's vision blurred. The world around her dissolved into a swirling vortex of darkness and fear. The woman's face, a grotesque mask of death, loomed closer, filling her entire field of vision. Emily felt her sanity slipping, the edges of her mind fraying under the onslaught of terror. She was drowning in a sea of darkness, the woman's laughter echoing in her ears. Then everything went black. No light. Emily gasped, her eyes flying open. Disoriented, she looked around. She was back in her car. The engine was running smoothly. The radio played a static-filled tune. Had it all been a nightmare? A figment of her sleep-deprived mind? Relief washed over her, followed by a wave of exhaustion. She needed to get home. She glanced in the rearview mirror, her breath catching in her throat. The woman stared back at her. Her pale face, twisted in a grotesque grin, filled the mirror. Her eyes, black and lifeless, seemed to burn into Emily's soul. The woman's lips moved, forming words Emily could hear as clearly as if she were sitting beside her. "You're mine now," the apparition whispered. "Forever." Emily was trapped, doomed to drive the haunted highway for all eternity.